They told me the night shift at Walmart would be boring. But that was before I saw a woman with no face walk straight through the frozen food aisle. Before I learned the mannequins move on their own. And they're not mannequins at all. Before I read the 7 strange rules taped inside the locker room, with blood smeared across rule number 4. Now I'm trapped in here every night, obeying rules I don't understand, because breaking even one means you'll never leave the store alive. The job listing was straightforward. Overnight security officer, local Walmart supercenter. $19.75 per hour, must be willing to work alone. Night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I had just lost my job at the lumberyard and was drowning in rent. So when I saw the posting taped to a light pole outside a gas station, I didn't think twice. Walmart. Easy enough. Cameras, maybe a few rowdy teens, an occasional crackhead trying to shoplift diapers or vodka. I could handle that MY interview wasn't really an interview. The store manager, a lanky, sunken-eyed man named Mr. Douglas, just looked me up and down, handed me a faded navy blue uniform, and said, "You'll start tonight. And don't worry, we've already briefed you on everything that matters. Just follow the posted rules. Read them, understand them, and follow them." Exactly. I was confused. What kind of rules? His face paled, lips twitching. He didn't answer, just turned and walked back into his office, locking the door behind him. The locker room was ice cold. Must have been the only part of the store still connected to the AC. I found locker number 17 with my name already labeled. Inside were a flashlight, a radio, and a crumpled paper folded 4 times. The heading on it was in bold, red ink, underlined twice. Overnight security rules. Read before patrolling. Failure to comply may result in immediate termination. And underneath it were 7 handwritten rules that would go on to haunt every night I spent in that place. Drop of blood. The 7 strange rules. Drop of blood. Begin your shift at exactly 11 p.m. Not a minute earlier. Not a second later. Do not enter aisle 8 between 12:13 a.m. and 12:28 a.m. No matter what you hear. If a customer approaches you asking for help after 2 a.m., ignore them. There are no customers after 2 o'clock. If the intercom turns on by itself, immediately recite the following. This is security. No help is needed. Stay where you are. Do not listen to what the intercom says. Between 3:33 a.m. and 3:37 a.m., the security cameras will go black. Stay still. Do not move. Do not breathe loudly. Do not blink more than necessary. If you see a mannequin in the gardening section, walk away slowly and whisper, "I see you." Do not look at it again until it's out of your peripheral vision. At exactly 4:44 a.m., report to the electronics department and check the TV wall. If all the screens are black, run. I laughed. Literally out loud. It had to be a prank. Some kind of new hire hazing ritual. I've worked night shifts before. There's always some guy with a twisted sense of humor. Still, something about the way the paper smelled, like mildew and copper, made my skin crawl. I folded it back up and shoved it into my breast pocket. I figured, I'll play along. I need the money. But by 12:13 a.m. that night, I stopped laughing. 12 o'clock, 11 p.m. The shift begins. The store was dead silent. No background music. No whirring freezers. Just silence and the distant buzzing of flickering fluorescent lights. I did a few loops around the store, my boots echoing across the polished floors. I passed the pharmacy, the empty checkouts, the dimly lit produce section. All normal. At 11:59 p.m., I was leaning against a shelf in the toy aisle, sipping vending machine coffee, when I heard it, a slow dragging sound, like something being pulled across the linoleum. Then came the click, click, click of something tapping rapidly across the floor. I turned toward the source, the store's center aisle, and saw nothing. But I noticed the time, 12:12 a.m., and I remembered rule number 2. Do not enter aisle 8 between 12:13 and 12:28 a.m. No matter what you hear. Guess what aisle I was right next to? 12:30, 12:13 a.m. Aisle 8. The sound grew louder. Now it was definitely footsteps, but bare feet, slapping wetly against the floor. A raspy female voice whispered, "Help me." I gripped my flashlight tighter, heart pounding. Every instinct said go look, but that damned list was etched into my mind now. I backed away, turned the corner, and hid behind a shelf of clearance backpacks. What I saw next will never leave me. A woman limped past the aisle's end. She was dragging one leg behind her like it was broken, her bones visibly poking through the skin. Her face was a blur, like a pixelated mask. She walked right past where I had been standing. Then she stopped and turned. Not her head, her entire upper body rotated 180 degrees. She looked directly at the shelf I was hiding behind. "I can smell you," she rasped that I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. She stood still for what felt like a century, then slowly turned and limped back into aisle 8, disappearing into the shadows as if she'd melted into the tiles. When I checked the time again, it was 12:28 a.m. The noises stopped. 2 o'clock. 2:04 a.m. The customer. I was near the freezer section when I saw him. A man, tall, in a gray hoodie, standing with his back to me. I approached. "Sir, store's closed. How did you get in?" "No response, sir." He turned around, slowly. His hoodie was empty. I don't mean his face was covered. I mean it was literally empty. No face, no skin, just a hollow hood, suspended by something invisible. Then he spoke. From nowhere. "Can you help me find my daughter?" I dropped my flashlight. The bulb shattered. Rule number 3 came roaring back. If a customer approaches after 2 a.m., ignore them. There are no customers after 2 o'clock. I turned and sprinted. I didn't stop until I reached the break room. 3:33 a.m. Total blackout right on cue. Every monitor in the security room went dark. I stood still, perfectly still, then the power in the room died. The air went dead. It was so quiet I could hear my own blood rushing in my ears. Something moved in the corner. I didn't look, not even when I felt hot breath on the back of my neck. The blackness lasted for minutes. I didn't move an inch. When the power flickered back on, there were fingerprints smeared in black tar across every single camera screen. 4 o'clock, 4:44 a.m. The TV wall rule #7. I walked to electronics, heart hammering. The TV wall faced me, row after row of massive LED screens stacked together. They were all on, except for one. The center screen, pitch black. I took one step back. That's when the others began to shut off. One by one. Top left, bottom right, middle left. Soon, only one screen remained. Then it turned on, by itself. The feed showed me, standing in electronics, on a 5-second delay, and behind me, on the screen, something crawled out of the aisle. Something long, pale, limbs bending the wrong way, teeth like broken piano keys. I spun around. Nothing, but on the screen, it was still there. Getting closer. I ran. I didn't even grab my bag. I just ran to the break room, locked the door, and waited till sunrise. But the doors wouldn't open at 7:00 a.m. Mr. Douglas radioed in. "You did good, kid. You survived your first night. Report back tonight. Same time." "I'm not coming back," I said, voice shaking. "You already did." He chuckled. "Check the date." I looked at my phone. It was still 11 p.m. Still the first night. I never left. I stared at my phone. The numbers frozen on the lock screen like a cruel joke. 11 p.m. Friday, just like when I'd started. And I swear, I felt the store breathe. "You already did," Mr. Douglas had said over the radio. But what the hell did that even mean? I was pacing in the break room, sweat-soaked uniform sticking to my back, heart pounding like a war drum. I tried the fire exit. Locked. I tried prying open the automatic front doors. They wouldn't budge. Even the emergency override didn't work. It was as if the store itself was keeping me inside. That's when I noticed something on the break room table, something that hadn't been there before. A small, rectangular black and white photo. Crisp, unfolded, clean despite the dusty surroundings. It was me, standing in aisle 8, looking into the camera. But I'd never posed for it. In fact, I'd never seen a camera in aisle 8. Scrawled across the back in thick red marker were 3 words: "Don't trust Douglas." Shopping cart. 11:03 p.m. Deja vu. Tried to keep my breathing steady as I emerged from the break room and re-entered the store floor. But everything felt off. It looked the same, sure, but there was something uncanny, like the shelves were rearranged ever so slightly. As if I'd wandered into a replica of the Walmart, not the actual building. The product labels were blurred, impossible to read. The mannequins, normally stiff plastic, seemed to sag ever so slightly, like they were made of something softer. And the rule sheet in my breast pocket? It was gone. In its place was a new sheet, slightly damp and warped. With heat. This time, the paper was black. The ink glowed faintly red. Fire updated overnight security rules. Revised. Begin your shift at exactly 11 p.m. If you miss it, the store will start without you. That's worse. Avoid aisle 8 between 12:13 a.m. and 12:28 a.m. She's still hungry. There are no customers after 2 a.m. If they ask for help, they're just trying to touch your skin. When the intercom activates, say the phrase. But if it says your name, run. During the blackout at 3:33 a.m., if you hear scratching, they're inside the walls now. Don't respond. The mannequin in gardening moves when you blink. Tonight, it may talk. Answer respectfully. If the TVs show your face smiling back at you, that isn't you anymore. I blinked hard. This wasn't just a prank. This wasn't normal. This place was shifting, like it was alive, and each night brought a different version of the same twisted nightmare. Hammer and wrench, 11:34 p.m. The stalker. I was patrolling near the loading dock when I heard the metallic clink 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 of a cart being pushed. I turned the corner and saw a man restocking shelves. Gray uniform. Face turned away. The cart was full of meat, but there was no meat department back here. Hey, I called out. Who are you? He didn't turn. He kept stacking shrink-wrapped chunks of flesh into a shelf labeled managers. That's when I saw his hands. They weren't hands at all. They were gloves stuffed with raw meat, stitched to thin bones that looked like bird skeletons. I stepped back, flashlight trembling. He turned. His face wasn't a face. It was a mask of deli paper, wet and sagging, with 2 holes cut where eyes should be, but nothing behind them. Just shadow. Then he shrieked, loud enough to crack glass. The meat in his cart began to twitch. I ran. 1 o'clock, 1:47 a.m. Eyes in the surveillance feed. I made it to the control room and locked the door. The monitors were back on now, but wrong. Each screen showed a different version of me. Sleeping in a bed, sitting in a diner, crying in a stairwell. In one feed, I was smiling into the camera, blood pouring from my ears. Then I saw the intercom light blink red. I grabbed the radio, remembering rule #4. This is security. No help is needed. Stay where you are. I said it calmly, twice, but the intercom didn't stop. It crackled again. Derek, it said my name. Derek, we know you're watching. You're not alone anymore. Then, silence. I turned around. The lights were off, but I hadn't turned them off. 2 o'clock, 2:12 a.m. The screamer. I tried avoiding the main aisles. Just loop around the pet section, head towards seasonal, and hunker down till 3:33 a.m. That's when I heard it. A shriek. Bone chilling. Feminine. Coming from aisle 8. I froze. This was well past 12:28. Rule number 2 said that window was safe after 12:28, right? But the rules had changed. The new rule said she's still hungry. I crept to the edge of the aisle and peeked around the corner. There she was, crawling across the floor on all fours, head twisted backward, mouth stretching into a grotesque. Oh, that never stopped screaming, but the sound was delayed. Her mouth would open, and 2 seconds later the scream would echo out. She looked up. Her eyes were gone. Black holes oozing something like tar. She sniffed the air, then charged at me. I didn't run. I screamed back. The sound, somehow, froze her. She convulsed, back arched unnaturally, and then collapsed into a puddle of clothes and blood that soaked into the tiles and disappeared. And then, the lights above flickered and changed color, from white to amber. 3 o'clock, 3:33 a.m. Something new in the blackout time again. This time, I was ready. I crouched behind the customer service desk. Flashlight off, eyes shut, total darkness. Then, breathing, but not like last time. This was close. A voice whispered directly beside my ear. Derek, why do you keep coming back? I turned on my flashlight. The beam hit something, not human. A man's body, but with 2 faces. One where it should be, and another on the stomach. Both smiling. Both. Bleeding. It slithered away on all fours, leaving a trail of fingerprints. 4 o'clock, 4:44 a.m. The TV wall again. I didn't want to go. But rule number 7 said I had to check. This time, all the TVs were off. No delay. No slow flickering. Just off. And then they all turned on at once, showing my bedroom, my apartment, my bathroom, my mother's house. All real locations. And in each one, a version of me lay sleeping. Except one screen. Point 1 showed me, standing in the middle of the Walmart. Except it wasn't me. Not really. It smiled. And in the glass of the TV, my reflection smiled back. But I wasn't smiling. It raised its hand. I didn't move. It waved. I didn't wave. Then it reached through the screen. Package 6 a.m. The new employee at 6 a.m. sharp. The store lights went full brightness. Everything snapped back to normal. The meat was restocked. The shelves organized. The security room spotless. Like none of it had happened. I saw a man in a blue vest standing near aisle 5. He looked dazed. New face. Young. I approached him. Hey, when you start? He blinked. I think today. I recognized the same 1,000-yard stare I'd had the night before. He held a crumpled paper in his hand. I saw the title. Overnight security rules failure to comply may result in immediate termination. I walked past him, feeling the walls watch me. Mr. Douglas was standing at the front. He smiled wide, eyes hollow. You made it again. See you tonight. Derek. I didn't answer, because I finally understood what he meant before. You already did. I never left, and neither will you. They told me Walmart was just a store. But after 2 nights, I know that's not true anymore. The shelves rearrange themselves. The mannequins breathe when you're not looking. And time, it loops. Every sunrise is fake. Every clock is lying. Every scream echoes through the concrete, as if something older is buried beneath. And now, I'm going to find out what it is. Waning crescent moon, 11 p.m. Night 3 begins this time. I didn't even try to leave. I woke up in the employee lounge again. Uniform already on. Flashlight humming on the table beside me like it had never been turned off. The security feed looped static, showing the same clips from yesterday, or maybe 100 yesterdays ago. There was no sunlight. There was never any sunlight. Even the coffee in the break room pot looked spoiled and black, not burnt. Rotted, like it had been sitting there for years, not hours. I went straight to the locker. Inside, instead of a uniform, I found a key. An old, rusted skeleton key tied with a blood-red thread. Attached to it was a single torn note, below the frozen section. Tell no one. Ice Cube, 11:38 p.m. Beneath the freezers. I'd never thought to check behind the industrial units. Walmart's massive frozen food aisle was about 30 feet long, but something always felt off about it. Too quiet. Even for a dead building. I pried open the maintenance door behind freezer number 17 and slipped inside. It was pitch black. There was a hatch bolted to the concrete floor, old, circular, like something out of a submarine. Frost clung to its edge like white mold. I inserted the key. It turned with a groan, and then it opened. Whole descent into the sub-level metal rungs lined the vertical shaft. The air was cold and moist, like underground tombs. The smell hit next. Sulfur, wet metal, and rot. Not like trash or decay, like something fermented, ancient. I climbed down 0.5 rungs. 10, 20. Then I landed on dirt. The space was massive. A cavern beneath the building, lit by hundreds of flickering TV screens, mounted into the rock. Each one showed a different Walmart. Some were on fire. Some were empty. Some showed bodies scattered on the floor, covered in black bags that twitched. In the middle was a stone altar, and someone was kneeling there, chanting, "Candle the original." Manager, the figure was wearing an old, tattered version of the Walmart vest, but from decades ago. The logo wasn't even the same. It was a smiling face stitched upside down. The voice was rasping in some dead language, but then it stopped. The figure turned, and I saw Mr. Douglas's face, or rather, something using his face. Half of it was rotted. The other half was made of mannequin plastic. His eye flickered like a projector bulb. "I told you not to come here, Derek," he said. "Now you've seen too much." I raised my flashlight. He didn't flinch. "What is this place?" I demanded. "Why are there other Walmarts? Why are there rules?" He stepped closer, dragging a leg that hissed with steam. "Because you work for the wrong company, son." Then he reached into the altar, into the stone itself, and pulled out a new rules list, written in what looked like scorched skin. Scroll the final rules. The store is alive. It feeds on repetition. That's why your nights repeat. The mannequins are not mannequins. They are watchers from the original design. The TV wall is a portal. If it smiles at you, your soul is already inside. You are not the first Derek. You will not be the last. The customers after midnight are memories, but they can still kill you. The manager is not a man. It is a role, a mask. It will be yours soon. You cannot leave. The store is forever. The store is God. I ran, back up the ladder, back through the freezer, back into the two white aisles with rotting fruit and blinking lights. Everything was wrong now. Man standing 2 a.m. The clones. I passed aisle 3 and stopped dead. There were 5 of me standing in a line. Same uniform, same face, each one holding a clipboard. One of them turned and hissed, "You're out of sync. You're the wrong one. Leave." Another stepped forward, face stretching into a smile that cracked the skin. They surrounded me. Become us. The store needs consistency. We are the perfect employee. They raised their clipboards and charged. Skull 3:33 a.m. Absolute darkness. The blackout this time wasn't just dark. It was void. Even my thoughts were muffled. I could feel my heartbeat, but it was distant. Something wrapped its hand around my neck. It whispered in my own voice. Clock in. Clock out. Stock. Smile. Bleed. Repeat. Then it shoved something into my mouth. A name tag. It read, Derek #44. I tore it out and screamed. The lights exploded back on. Television 4:44 a.m. Final broadcast. I stood at the TV wall again. This time, the TVs were showing me at age 6, blowing out candles. Then me in college, watching late-night horror movies. Then me, at my own funeral. Except no one was crying, and I was standing beside the casket, clapping, laughing. The screen glitched and showed the store's grand opening. A Walmart, but built on a graveyard. Then the screen cut to black. A single phrase burned into all 52 screens. Welcome to your forever shift. Checkered flag 6:59 a.m. The offer Mr. Douglas was waiting near the registers again. Only this time, he had no face left. Just hollow sockets and a plastic smile. He handed me a new vest. This one was gold. Management positions open. He said. I laughed, cried, laughed. Again, and I put on the vest. Because what else was I going to do? I looked at the clock. 11:00 p.m. Again, I thought the rules were there to protect me. I thought the store was cursed or haunted. I thought Mr. Douglas was just a pawn in something bigger. I was wrong. The store isn't cursed. The store is the curse. And tonight, it wants me to take its place. 11 p.m. My final shift. The golden vest is heavier than it looks. I don't know what's in it. Lead? Bone? Teeth? But as I pulled it over my shoulders, I felt something inside it move. Shift. Like it was adjusting to fit me. The mirror in the break room showed my reflection, delayed by 3 seconds. It blinked before I did. Smiled when I didn't. I didn't ask questions anymore. Because now I understood what was happening. This wasn't a job. It was a ritual. And tonight, I'd be the officiant. Package 11:15 p.m. New instructions. A clipboard sat on the security desk. No checklist. No camera log. Just one paper, stamped with the Walmart logo, smudged in what looked like dried blood, and something oily. At the top. Congratulations on your promotion. Underneath. Tonight you must train the next night officer. He will arrive at 12 a.m. He must be shown the rules. He must sign the ledger. And he must survive until sunrise. If he fails, you remain. If he survives, your shift is complete. Do not pity him. You once arrived too. At the bottom was a hand-scrawled note. Trembling ink. The store remembers. And it never forgets its managers. Busts in silhouette. 11:59 p.m. The new guy arrives. I watched him from the shadows. Fresh haircut. Nervous eyes. Cheap steel-toe boots. Just like me, 3 nights ago. His name tag read Logan. He walked in like he'd stumbled into the wrong simulation. I stepped out of the break room. Golden vest gleaming under the flickering lights. You must be Logan. He turned. Yeah. Derek. My voice didn't feel like mine anymore. Come with me. We've got rules to go over. Page with curl 12:08 a.m. Initiation in the cold locker room. I handed him a fresh sheet. Overnight security rules. Version 3.0. He chuckled. This some kind of onboarding prank. I didn't answer. Because that's exactly what I'd said. His fingers trembled slightly as he read the list. His lips moved silently. When he reached rule number 4, he frowned. This one's crossed out in blood? I nodded. Just follow them, and you'll be fine. He stared at me. What happens if I break one? I met his eyes. You'll wish you hadn't. Man standing 12:13 a.m. The woman returns right on schedule. Aisle 8 started humming. Logan stepped toward it. Did you hear that? I grabbed his arm. Hard, no. You didn't. He looked at me like I was insane. But someone might be hurt. I shoved him backward. It's not a someone. It's a thing. It mimics pain. If you go down there now, you'll never come back. His face went pale. Jesus. Are you serious? I stared at him. Silent. Cold. Manager-like. Desktop computer, 1:45 a.m. The mirror monitors. We sat in the security room. The feeds flickered, but this time they didn't show surveillance. They showed reflections. Logan saw himself kneeling on the Walmart floor, blood pouring from his eyes. Another screen showed him in a padded cell, screaming. Another, him as a mannequin. In aisle 3, limbs locked and frozen. What the hell is this? I lit a cigarette I didn't remember owning. The store shows you what it wants. You'll learn to ignore it. He stared at me. What if I don't want this job? I blew smoke. At the screen, we all said that. And we're all still here. Brain 2:29 a.m. Breakage begins. That's when the scream started. Not from aisle 8. Not from the intercom. From inside Logan, he clutched his head and fell to the floor, writhing. His nose bled. His ears dripped black. He was muttering over and over. 7 rules. 7 rules. 7777. I tried to calm him. Then I remembered the clipboard's warning. If he fails, you remain. And suddenly, I was rooting for him, but also resenting him, because if he survived, I'd finally be free. Safety pin 3:33 a.m. The store tests him. The lights died. The blackout began. I stood still. Logan panicked. He ran blindly into the aisle. I could hear him breathing, frantic. Then something whispered, "Logan, come stock with us." The shadows hissed. Something heavy moved. The mannequins walked. I didn't help him. I wasn't allowed to. That's part of management. Let the new blood suffer. Television 4:44 a.m. Judgment. We met at the TV wall. Logan limped in, bloody, shirt torn. He was crying. But he was alive. Every TV turned on. They showed him, but not now. Not past. Future. One screen showed him smiling in the golden vest. Another, beating a new recruit with a clipboard. Another, writing new rules, laughing as someone screamed behind him. Logan turned to me. "I'm not like you. I'm not going to become you." I smiled. "You already have." Hourglass. Not done. 5:55 a.m. The choice A final form appeared before us. The ledger, bound in what felt like tanned skin. The front read, Walmart employee register. Eternal contracts. It was open to a blank line. Waiting. I looked at Logan. His hand trembled. Over the pen. "If I sign, I become you, right?" I nodded. "If you don't, the store eats you. Piece by piece. Forever." He stared at the book, sweating, breathing, and then he signed. 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. Dawn. The doors opened. For the first time in 3 nights, sunlight bled through the entrance. Logan stood beside me now. Golden vest. Blank eyes. He didn't speak. I removed mine, folded it carefully, laid it on the floor, nodded once, and stepped through the threshold. Outside, free, but not really. Stop sign because the store never lets go. I still wake up at 11 p.m., sometimes. I still see the flickering cameras in my sleep. I still hear the intercom whispering my name. And sometimes, just sometimes, when I walk by a Walmart, I see Logan, standing inside, staring back, smiling.